Dr. Stocks, how are you?
Very good, Mayor. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How's our counts?
We're doing very well. I can brag about them later to you, or I can tell you now, but we're doing super well.
No, let's brag about it later.
Okay.
Let everybody partake. Could you call the roll?
City Council Member Doris?
Present.
Molly?
Present.
Mann?
Present.
Vice Mayor Chris?
Present.
Mayor Paris?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Mr. Mayor, would you please call the meeting to order?
Did I not do that? Let's call the meeting to order. Do we have to take the roll again?
No, we're fine.
Well, let's be grateful for small favors. Let me see if I can find my script and we can start. And I found it. Okay. So who's doing the invocation tonight? Somebody every meeting for the invocation. I can't have Daryl do it because he's done it too many times. I've done it too many times. So let's make that a priority. And we should tell our faith-based community that we went to a lot of expense to be able to do this. And it requires their assistance. Okay.
Yeah, I will make a note, Mayor. Anytime they want to call the city clerk, they can sign up and she will schedule them for the council meeting, as well as planning commission meetings and others. So we would encourage them to do that.
Okay. But I think we need to reach out also.
There are concerns with the court case that don't allow us to do that, but we have a process available for them to reach out to us.
Really?
Yes.
We have limitations under our policy as to the extent to which we can reach out. So we'll need to be careful about that, but we certainly can encourage any faith-based leaders who are watching now to call the city clerk and sign up.
Okay, thank you. Because we're doing this on the internet, we will forego the Pledge of Allegiance. Any items to be removed from the agenda? Jason?
No, sir.
Thank you.
For M2, the June 23rd meeting. It's an amendment to the minutes of a meeting.
Is there a motion to approve it?
Hey, motion to approve M1. Are we going to take M2 separately?
We do not have to. We can, but if the mayor is going to abstain or recuse, he can. We can take them separately.
Okay, but he needs to be here for M1, correct?
Right. So let's do M1 first and then pick up M2.
That's a great idea.
Is there any speakers for M1 or M2?
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on M1 or M2, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Please press *9 at this time if you wish to speak on M1 or M2. No speakers for M1 or M2.
All right.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Okay, call the roll, please.
City Council Member Doris?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Passes.
I'll make the motion to accept M2.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. City Clerk, can you call the roll?
City Council Member Doris?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chris?
Yes.
It passes. Oh, this goes to Marvin.
It passes 4-0 with Mayor Paris abstaining. I'll turn the meeting. Any speaker cards?
At this time, anyone wishing to speak on any item on the consent calendar, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press *9 at this time. Caller with the last 47232, please state your name.
LaTanya Anthony. I don't know if I hit the correct.
Are you wishing to speak on the consent calendar or an item that's not listed on the agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry. Something that's not listed on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will give you the opportunity to do that when we get to that part of the agenda. Going forward with the consent calendar, there doesn't appear to be any other speakers. Is there a motion?
There is one other speaker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was caller 7232. Are you there?
Okay, let's move on. We've got a stream.
Calendar is currently comprised.
Sorry, what, Marvin?
I'll move the consent calendar as current.
Did the caller 723-7232 want to say something?
I think they were having issues on their end. We had them unmuted to speak.
Okay, all right.
Mayor, I'll second that motion.
Okay. Andrea, call the roll, please.
City Council Member Doris,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chris,
Yes.
Mayor Paris.
Yes. Okay, it passes unanimously. Moving on to the public hearings. Public hearing item number 1. Are there any speaker cards for this?
We need to open.
Would you please open the public hearing?
On PH1, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your call-in number when it's your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers.
Waive the staff report. Is that, Andrea, call the roll, please.
City Council Member Doris,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chris,
Yes.
Mayor Paris.
Yes. Passes unanimously. Moving on to new business item 1. Let's hear the staff report from Jason.
West and Lancaster Boulevard and 15th East. City clerk and her staff have done the duly.
On NB1, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your call-in number when it's your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited. Caller with the last 4, 7232. Please state your name. Caller with the last 4, 7232. Please state your name. You are unmuted, caller 7232. City Council Member Doris,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chris,
Yes.
Mayor Paris.
That one?
I will second that, Mayor.
Okay. I guess I should give some reason for this so people understand it. The reason for Dick Rutan is obviously he was in defending our country when such a feat was considered impossible. It's since been duplicated, but he was the first. And to name this after him. In regards, and once this COVID-19 is over, we'll have a meaningful presentation at the roundabout with the appropriate emblems that go with it. In regards to Marvin Christ, Marvin you see every week and you see him at events all the time, but few people have any idea of how many thousands of hours he has put into this city and how much better the city is as a result of it. Every committee of substance he's on. Not only is he on, he chairs most of them. He is responsible for bringing tens of millions of dollars into this community that we wouldn't have had otherwise. And he has the courage to make difficult decisions. He is sometimes not the most politically correct person in the world when he does these decisions. but nonetheless, he executes. He gets things done. He does not tolerate fools easily. And without him, I would be 1/10 the mayor, and we would be 1/10 the council. And so I think it's fitting that we name this roundabout after him. It'll be there as long as the city is. It will be there with his name on it. Unlike a building that eventually gets torn down, you are here into perpetuity, Marvin. We are not getting rid of you now. But I am proud to be the person that actually put your name forward for that. Are there?
I am honored that you would give me such an honor, and I'm honored to be next to Dick Rattan. He's a war hero. He's someone that I've looked up to. His presentations at different public events on telling how they achieved the Voyager is just tremendous. He's a great man. I'm very honored to be next to him. So thank you.
You're welcome. Now, could you guys imagine what it must have been like being in that coffin? I mean, it's really smaller than a coffin for a week with circle. And she came back in one piece. I mean, he was a hero on many fronts. Yeah, I'm proud he's my friend too, by the way. Okay, Andrea, you want to call are there any speakers in regards to Marvin?
Any background noise? Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press *9.
Chance to talk, and then we have to move on. Okay, let's move on. Are there any other speakers?
No other speakers.
Okay, and let's see if we can streamline this better next week, where maybe we can get their names if they intend to be speaking on anything, and we can, have their names indicated so we're not calling people by numbers. I know this is difficult, but let's keep working at it. All right, is there? There's been a motion. There's been a second. Andrea, you want to call the roll?
City Council Member Norris.
Check to see if there's any other speakers.
If this time anyone else wishing to comment, please press *9 at this time.
Now that I'm truly shocked about, Marvin. I'm listening to people objecting to this.
It took me a long time to cut all those telephone lines.
Mayor Paris.
Yes, it passes unanimously. Okay. Who I did not choose, and or who I did not nominate, and I understand that. But this is one of the decisions that fall on me, and I'm happy with the decision that I made. Heather, weigh in on this, Heather.
There are 7 available slots.
Right, but how many did we nominate?
I believe there were 7 that we nominated, but there was a question about 1.
Okay, who was that?
That was Isabel.
Okay, well, no, Isabel's on the list. I haven't talked to Zach yet. Have you talked to Zach?
Yes, I did.
And is Zach agreeable to serve?
Yes, he is.
Okay, then let's go ahead and leave Zach Cullen on. So everybody has their name.
Mayor.
Yes,
Would you
please.
go ahead and do that, please?
And Sean Cannon and Teresina Hone.
Okay, is there any, well, first I need a second. Do I have a second?
It's the nominee.
Is that what you're requesting?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let's question out of the way. And if we have to take somebody off like the consent calendar and vote on them individually, let's do it that way. I think that'll speed it up.
Could you say the names again, please? It was a little fast for me.
You're right. Never mind. Let's do it that way. Let's do it one at a time. Go ahead, Heather.
Okay, so Sean Cannon.
Any discussion or questions about Sean?
Yes, I have a couple in regards to some of his posts, some of everything that he's putting out there. I went through and I tried to do my due diligence to have that they need subpoena power. We could talk about that, but I don't think that we have very limited subpoena power, and I want to make sure that the commission understands that there's no subpoena power there for them. There was an incident in Santa Clarita where Sean he said the best way to do it is just to read what he said. This is traumatizing innocent young people of color. And he goes on in regards to that. One of the ones that really bother me is he posted about the blue lives don't exist. It goes on and on and on. He tells about that there's a white supremacist. He talks about the young man that committed suicide in Palmdale. That was a lynching on his part, and that was a pattern that he sees. I just don't think that certain individuals should be speaking for the city when they're fanning the flames. I think they should be bringing the community together rather than trying to make it apart. That's just my concern.
Anyone else?
Mayor, commissions, are they also required to take ethics training?
I don't know the answer to that. Allison would be the one to ask, but she's not appreciating us throwing this at her without any warning.
I believe they're required to do AB 1234. Beyond that, I don't know offhand. One thing I can look into it, of course, and it could be a requirement that the council imposes on the commissioners as well.
As representatives of the city about the statements we make. And clearly, I can understand somebody being frustrated and upset. I get that. These are some very trying times. But also, too, it requires some about what's being said publicly. And again, my concern is knowing might really open somebody's eyes up about how does one need to lead when they represent, i.e., in this case, represent the city of Lancaster.
I guess my concern is are we talking about controversial comments, or are we talking about something that we're not comfortable with? All of us are here because we speak from other points of perspectives. And while we're dealing with young people, because we've already spoke about one young lady that may be rough around the edges. We're dealing with people who are passionate. One of the things about public office is they're here to serve the community, not their own interests. And Equity Commission, I believe that people make mistakes. All of us on this council may have said things out of sorts and out of order. I know I have, even as a pastor. Sometimes that's just training. And learning how to say something and say it the right way instead of saying it out of anger. And these are young people that are learning. He's a 20-something voice, and we should be heard. And if he has value, and I believe he has shown that he has value, then it can be directed and molded and mentored into doing it the right way. This is what we're seeing around America right now. People are protesting, but we're seeing them doing it in a way that needs to have leadership, and it needs to be, done the right way. So that's my 2 cents. I don't know if he should be totally taken off. I believe he can be talked to in the ethics training. What Ken said, I totally agree with. A way in which I do believe that there are people in his life that can be spoken to that can help, and along with ourselves. But there's been many people in public office that have said things that not just us, but a whole community didn't.
I personally think, Ken, like said, ethical, I think that's definitely very necessary. Since I've been a part of the Planning Commission and then the council, it's all about bringing our community together. And, we are one city and, we are all together, and like, even with look at the diversity here. So I think probably, try to talk, like you said, or ethic classes or whatever it can help.
Anyone else?
Allison wants to speak.
Mayor Paris, I'd be happy to give the same ethics training that I give to council members and planning commissioners to these commissioners, if that's the council's direction.
Well, I think that's probably a good idea for all the commissioners.
I do.
It's for their own protection so they don't end up in trouble. Right. There's a couple ways to deal with this particular commissioner, or potential commissioner. The only thing on that Marvin has pointed out that concerns me is the blue lives. Yeah. I find that reprehensible. I think most of those issues are other communities. I think some of those land squarely on us, and we have to fix it. But it is not okay to diminish the value of anyone, especially our police officers. At the end of the day, 98 or also think that we looked for passionate people, and passionate people, when they're young, say stupid things. Some people say passionate people that are my age say a lot of stupid things. I know none of you have ever heard anybody accuse me of that, but I think of all the things that people could find objectionable that I said. And I'm wondering if perhaps we should allow Sean to interview with you, whatever council members have a concern, and just take him off the list until the next council meeting. Mr.
One, he's very articulate. He's a very well-spoken young man, very, very intelligent. But as far as when you're talking about what happens in Santa Clarita and you're trying to tie it up here, it's not what we're trying to accomplish. So it's not his demeanor. I'm not trying to censor him. I will fight for him to have the right to speak what he wants to. So that should answer Daryl's, questions, and he should be able to. We don't have to do that kind of stuff. And but taking him off or voting on him now I would prefer that you took him off the list now and we have a discussion with him and maybe bring him back later.
Reviewing with him in regards to ethics, I think that mattered. And maybe that's what's needed to be.
Is there a way I can speak? Can I be heard?
Not the formalities of the system.
As a whole, and more in particularly Sean. I've had an opportunity to work with him. He's a great young man. He's very passionate. And he reminds me of when we founded the Community Action, what the city was fighting for. And it wasn't until we were able to see that our missions aligned. I think that Sean is able to see the greater good, and he's able to see where this community wants to go and needs to go. One of the goals of the commission was to have younger people have a voice, give them an opportunity to be groomed, and give this young man a real opportunity. As it comes to Blue Lives Matter, and there's plenty of people who have said things to the effect of that Black lives don't matter and all lives matter. Well, I think that it applies here too. Was it something that was probably said in foretaste publicly? Yes. But at the same time, the Black Lives Matter movement was kind of derailed, and now we have without saying the other doesn't matter. We can't say that one does without saying the other one does. I think that there is a misunderstanding on the position in which he took. His thing wasn't to go against all law enforcement. His thing, community, the things that causes African Americans to be fearful to even call the police when they need the police at their homes. So if we do not hear the voices of those who don't necessarily agree with us, then how do we grow?
The problem I see, if one of the council had said Black lives don't matter, I would be actively moving to remove them. You know, I would be doing all kinds of things to get them to resign or to recall them. I just find that Blue Lives thing to be over the top. But I also recognize that he is young. But I don't. The purpose of this commission is not to give people an opportunity to raise hell. They can do that elsewhere. You know, the purpose of this commission is to find ways to actually make this an equitable city. You know, I mean, when we were talking about how frequently young Black men get pulled over by the police, but we all have to recognize that that is far from the truth today. You know, today I don't think that's accurate. And it's not because I think that they're necessarily wrong in doing it. I think that we measure the wrong things. You know, what's safe is the neighborhoods they're assigned to, not how many arrests were done that day out of those neighborhoods. That's what I'm hoping this commission does. This commission is not going to be effective if they say stupid things in social media and then come to the meeting and try to portray themselves as something else. And so but at the same time, I really like Sean. I think there's a lot there. And what I see more than anything is what could be there in the future, you know, because, you know, none of us are any good when we're young. I know that was not very politically astute of me to say, but we get better with age. I don't know what to say, Nigel. I could take it off the agenda and put it back on later, or we could vote now. But I cannot tell you how the vote's going to go. I don't
That's understandable.
Can I add one thing? And Nigel or Daryl, correct me if I'm wrong in this. I've seen that statement a few times, the blue lives don't exist. And I think behind that, people are saying blue lives don't exist because it's a profession and it's not your skin color. I don't know if that was the intention there, but I just wanted to kind of throw that out there if that was the intention of the post.
I can't.
Yeah, I can't speak for his intention. I do like the point of him, at least, you know, I believe every accuser should have the chance to say something. So I do like the point that he can come. Let's put it out there. I met Rex Paris on a statement that I felt he shouldn't have said. And this is what happened. We had a conversation.
It turns out you were right. I shouldn't have said it.
So I believe people make statements and they make it out of passion. I believe a public servant is what a person should be, not serving your own interests, but serving the benefit of the public. My main concern of the commission, I'm going to state this again, and I hope I'm not getting away from the spirit of this, is number one, I agree with Marvin. Commission, I don't want it all African American because it doesn't represent the face of the city. That's number one. And number two, if we are dealing with
people who can relate to both sides. So I'm definitely for a diverse commission that can see it from all the different angles. And I think he brings a unique voice, being that he is a young man that is still tied to the community.
Andrea, why are...
Let me see. So when I muted...
If you put it on Do Not Disturb, it shouldn't buzz.
Well, Nigel, I'm certainly glad you're not up for a vote tonight because I'm not sure how I would vote. Because of the beat, no other reason. All right.
Some of that training, because again, we all took an accounting of what we did when we were younger. I'm sure we could all speak about, moments in our past where we would like to do over. Even Daryl spoke just recently about what he just said about from the pulpit. So, and I don't think that was in his younger days, but I think we ought to give him some, because I'm a firm believer of education is key. And again, I think Sean's got some qualities. I think
okay, but on the fringe, in saying things that are on the fringe, that the vast majority of people don't agree with. I mean, that's how this country came into being. So I want to clear. I'm not viewing anything Sean did as being making him less of a person. But does it mean he can sit here? That if he wants to do that, if he wants to have additional training and recognize that when you're on these commissions, you're speaking for the city. With that being said, anybody else have any other comments? Should I just take them off until the next meeting, or?
Well, Rex, I just wanted to add, I agree with what you said. I'm not for tempering somebody. I'm for allowing them to learn how to say it in a different manner. But if they believe it, they believe. I mean, I just watched Hamilton with my children. Aaron Burrow, I'm not saying we temper him. What I am telling him is maybe he could say that in a different manner and still mean what he said. So if he feels that cops are unfair, we teach him how to say it without making it seem like he hates all cops. I'm not for censoring anybody. I believe all of our voices come at a passion and at a different perspective. Marvin and Ken, and we know where, I'm for I was a probation officer, but at the same time, I am for equity and equality. And I try to say it in a manner where an officer is not offended, but my point still gets across. That's what I'm talking about saying. Like you said, we understand that when Sean says something, it's not going to be just Sean Cannon, it's going to be City Commissioner Cannon. And I think they need to understand that. And that's where the training comes in at. Let's say it this way. I'm not for changing how somebody thinks or talk. I'm all for just teaching them how to say it in a way that they won't be.
And we want to guide them.
I think that's accurate. Yeah, I agree with that. I also think we need to be effective. And we're not going to be effective if we polarize this community any more than it already is. We're together to make those decisions, and now 200,000 people have died. I think that there's nothing to be gained in polarizing people more than they already are. I'm going to take Sean off, and I will put him back on in 2 weeks if he still wants to be considered after he has talked to the council and come to some understanding. But Daryl, I agree with you. I don't want these guys changing their opinions. I just want them to be effective when they say them. And I don't want them shutting doors that don't need to be shut, because this is the wrong time to shut any doors. But at the same time, one of the reasons I think that is because people need to hear what they have to say, because what they have to say is valid. There are far too many people in our city who feel that way, and we have to address that, and we have to address it in a loving way. I mean, we're the city that loves their neighborhood. Yes, Allison.
before we move off of any individual candidate, we do need to solicit public comment on all of the candidates. So if we could get the names again and then ask for public comment with regard to CA1, that would be an efficient way to get public comment on all of the candidates. And then we can continue to go through each one with the council.
Okay. Sean Cannon, Yuri Carter, Shahib Joseph, Isabel Flax, Zach Cullen, Teresina Hone, Brian Johnson, and Giovanni Pope.
How many is that?
There's 8. So one would need to be an alternate, right? There's 7 spots and 3 alternates.
7 spots and 3 possible alternates. That's correct.
And Heather's going to take a math class with me.
So, Mr. Mayor, if it's your pleasure, it would be appropriate to solicit public comment on these nominees at this.
Okay. Go ahead, Andrea.
At this time, anyone wishing to come in on any nominee, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your call-in number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press *9 now to comment on any nominee.
Hearing none, let's move on. Okay, I'm going to take Sean off until the next meeting. His name off. I don't think we need to vote on him. Who's the next one?
Yuri Carter.
So who's going to be a spokesman for him?
I can speak for her. She has done a lot of work with Kaiser on diversity and inclusion programs as well as youth programs. So I believe she's a really good fit for this commission.
Was that the older lady that spoke at the time that we were there with Rex and I?
Careful, girl. Careful.
The mature lady.
Yes.
Okay, then I take my statement back. I take it back. Take it back.
Okay. Let's call. Is there a second? Oh, Marvin seconded. Let's vote.
City Councilmember Doris?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Mann?
Person?
Shahib in the Spa One or Antelope Valley area for several years. And as you know, people experiencing homelessness are disproportionately African American. So that is one area that we need to work on as far as disparities, homeless population in the Antelope Valley.
Well, why would you give me the percentage for what is the proportion of African Americans in the Antelope Valley and what is the proportion of homelessness?
I believe in the Antelope Valley, we have about a 19% African American population with about a 40% homeless population.
Wow. That's disparate. Okay. Any questions? Is there a second to the nomination?
I'll second that nomination.
Andrea, let's vote.
City Councilmember Doris?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chris?
Yes.
Mayor Paris?
Yes. Okay, who's the next person?
Passes unanimously.
Isabel Flax.
Isabel is a young lady that's up and coming in this community. She has been capable of working with various different groups in her development. She is very outspoken and very community conscious. She's been seen and working publicly for things that have happened with the African American community. And I think she's a good person for the council.
Is there a second?
For the commission.
Is there a second?
Rex, before there's a second, I'd like to, I can't, me personally, vote for somebody that is striking our deputies. So there's mitigating circumstances. There's things, but it's my understanding it was done twice. And I'm just giving you a reason why I can't support this one.
Before we go on with the discussion, I need a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. I'm aware of the incident. I'm also aware that her brother they were performing CPR on her brother and Isabel on several occasions since then. I think that of the group, she's probably the most outspoken. And again, she's young. I think that she's incredibly bright. And I think she has a great deal to offer. But there isn't any question she could blow up in a heartbeat, and I might have to remove her. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that she's going to evolve into a leadership role in this community because she's got all of the skills necessary to reach that. She also had a 4.0 in high school. I would just like you all to trust me on this one. And if I'm wrong, I will rectify it, but I don't think I am. That's
one of the most pivotal ones that acquiesced to a lot of our concerns. She was able to come and really talk with a lot of the people along with her as being one of the leaders. And we were able to have peaceful protests when it mattered. All other cities were blowing up. It didn't happen in Lancaster. And Isabel was one of those ones. I also remember when I was 23 years old, I was a music teacher, and this can be verified. John Richardson, Bishop John Mark Richardson, and I was the detention. That year, I ended up becoming one of her greatest mentors. I think sometimes people need to be steered in the right way. I have heard about the incident, and I was told that she went, she apologized, she wrote letters, she begged their pardon. I shout out to the officers that didn't escalate the issue, and again, I support our officers. I respect Mr. Marvin Chris' view on it, I really do. We have to have order and law. We can't go around hitting our officers. But I do understand the situation. And all of us have human moments. All of us do. So.
You know, one of the things that make that particular instance be CPR.
Right.
That you've never before. You have no idea whether he's infected or not.
Right.
I mean, this officer was incredibly heroic. And I've had that discussion with Isabel, and she recognizes that. I mean, this was and I don't think any of you do either. We like to think we would handle it maturely and competently, but sometimes I don't. As I got older, it's fewer and fewer times, but we're all human beings. So, can we?
Mayor, may I speak?
Ken,
I can remember, I think I'm a little bit behind the curve here. I can remember when you first nominated planning commissioners, when I first got elected with you on the city council. And in this particular case, uncomfortable for me not to be able to sit down and understand Isabel. I know that when you made those initial nominations, I know I was in conflict, and until I actually spoke with the individuals did I feel comfortable. And actually, to this day, we've got one of the best that we could have ever got, and that was Jim Vos out of that. And I can remember having a very candid discussion with Jim. But with that said, unless I have the ability to sit down with her, and I just would feel more comfortable if I would have that ability to speak with her.
Okay. Andrea, anyone else? Otherwise, I'd like to vote. Andrea?
Anyone wishing to comment on any nominee, please press *9 at this time.
We already did that.
Yeah, we already did that.
You want me to just call? Okay, I wasn't sure what you want me to do.
Yeah.
Councilmember Doris,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Mann,
Abstain.
Vice Mayor Chris,
No.
Vice Mayor Mayor Paris.
Yes.
You got demoted, Rex.
What?
You just got demoted.
Oh,
The motion passes 3-1.
Did she call me a vice mayor?
The vice mayor voting no and Councilmember Mann abstaining.
Can I go back to being mayor now, Andrea?
Of course, Mayor Paris.
Thank you. Okay. Isabel, if you're out there, do not let me down. Okay, who's the next person?
Teresina Hone. She has experience in mental health and works with children that have experienced trauma. She represents both the Hispanic and the LGBTQ community.
Okay, any questions?
I don't know her, so I'm going to abstain.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Any discussion? Let's vote.
Councilmember Doris,
Abstain?
Molly,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chris,
Abstain.
Mayor Paris.
Yes. It passes.
The motion passes 3-0-2 with council members Doris and and Vice Mayor Christ abstaining.
Okay, who's the next person?
Brian Johnson. He's a local pastor and has done advocacy work on this subject for a while in this area.
Who are we taking off as far as those 8 individuals? Which one did we take off?
We took Sean off, and but I want to leave another spot open.
Yeah, so we can only approve 6. You gave us 8.
7.
Sean's been postponed, so we can only do 6 because you want to leave that spot open for him, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
One option would be to nominate someone as an alternate.
Yeah, I could do that, but I don't like doing it on the fly. Heather, why don't you and Nigel get on the phone and talk to each other, and we will resume this after you come back on, okay? And give me the names of who you want then. Although, Brian, I want to go ahead and vote on Brian. Brian's got a great head on his shoulders. I've known him a while. I've always appreciated every conversation I've had with him. He's able to put himself on both sides of the aisle in these situations and come to a decision based upon what's best for the well-being of the community. And so I want to nominate him. Is there a second on him?
I'll second that motion based on your recommendation.
Okay, and so let's vote. Andrea? Andrea? Did I lose you?
Mr. Mayor, would you like me to call the roll?
Would you please?
Pound 9, Andrea.
Yeah. Councilmember Doris.
Yes.
Councilmember Molly.
Yes.
Councilmember Mann.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Christ.
Yes.
Mayor Paris.
Yes, it passes unanimously. Okay, we will come back to the rest of the folks at the end of the meeting, and Nigel and Heather will have a conversation without us listening. Okay, so why don't you take your camera off, Nigel? Oh, he's not listening. Okay, let's move on.
Yes, he is.
Oh. Well, I can't stand the anticipation. All right. So moving on.
So we're at CR1, Mr. Mayor, which is
that would be the
reports.
Board of Directors for the Antelope Valley Transit Authority.
We have not had a meeting since then, but the COVID-19 is starting to affect the transit agency. We had at the last meeting that we had, it was 3 drivers were down. We have to take 20 of them off the line because of the protocols. And so we had to go to a 50-50 bus schedule, which is our Saturday schedule. So everything had to be slowed down because of the availability of drivers that we had. So it's not because we don't want to provide the service. It's because our drivers are becoming infected. Some of the things that we have done, we put shields up. The shields, the plexiglass shields, when you get onto the bus, there's a plexiglass shield that shields the bus drivers. We also enter from the back of the bus now, or the midsection of the bus, rather than by the driver. And we're still at a no fares cost. So everything's going good. It's just we're being affected just like everybody else.
How many drivers have gotten infected?
There were 3 at the last count, but 20 of them had to be quarantined because of their interaction with each other. So we tried to keep them as close together, not distance-wise, but as far as them going out to eat, we fed them at AVTA for breakfast and lunch. So it would keep them from having to go out to different places as much as possible because they are a high risk and they're a very essential group of people. So
how are they faring?
They're doing well. None of them have been on ventilators yet that I'm aware of. But from my understanding, it can turn at any time.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Marvin. Do I need any public comments for this? That was more of a report, wasn't it?
We ordinarily do ask for public comment on the council reports.
Andrea, could you take care of that for me, please?
Yes, I apologize for that. I was having internet connection issues. At this time, anyone wishing to comment on CR1, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits. I'm sorry.
Anyone?
If anyone wants to speak at this time, please press *9 and we will call your last 4 digits of your phone number.
Not hearing any, we'll move on. Council reports.
I'll jump in and say that Rex, I've been doing my best along with, I know you had Tiffany Tanner, we just had a meeting with pastors. I've also been talking to as many pastors as I can about your duality of wanting them to be able to have safe service, but understanding that you will shut them down if they're doing it in a dangerous way. And so I've really been trying to stress to pastors that it's up to us to be responsible with our congregations, and also talking to them about how important it is to participate in the 2020 census. We do know that cases are still, significant, as we see Dr. Stock on, and I'm sure he's more qualified to talk about it, but I have had some serious conversations with our colleagues. I finally got my first case in my membership young lady. And what's ironic is she was supposed to be one of the ones that was going to check temperatures for me before the governor issued back again for us not to be in the buildings again. She's actually a nurse. So her daughter, her granddaughter all caught it. And a couple of our young people had just been around her daughter. So it started about 15 members in my church had to quarantine. So thank God we hadn't been meeting, but that would have affected, it's just that quick, one person and how it just jumps and spreads. So I was very adamant talking to at least the pastors that I oversee and other pastor friends that I've called. There's a couple of them that are moving into new buildings, and I'm just telling them, look, man, let's take heed to what we're doing. We have a wonderful mayor and staff and council that wants us to continue our worship, but let's do it in a respectable manner. So I just wanted to put that out there.
So while we're on this, any of the COVID task force, you're all here. You have anything to say? Dr. Stock, Dr. Trone, Tiffany?
Well, I'll start. Thank you all. It's definitely still here. The hospital is still hopping with cases. We actually went from having a low of 5 cases at Antelope Valley Hospital about 6-7 weeks ago to a high of the mid 40s. And so it's a huge jump. It's back down from that high. And I just have to say, as a community, I do believe we're doing exceedingly well. I've given these reports before. Any death is one too many. But when we compare our deaths per 100,000 population to the rest of LA County and California, the Antelope Valley is doing very well. So the United States as a whole is at 50 deaths per 100,000. California is at 27. LA County is at 50, and the Antelope Valley is at 15. So relatively speaking, we've heeded the public health message as well. We've had the mask use at high rates, and I think largely people are heeding the warning to avoid get-togethers where that kind of spread can happen, which is really probably one of the most common stories that I hear is people getting together for a social event, a happy event. They think they let their guard down, and people take their masks off, and a whole bunch of people catch it at once because one person was sick.
Thank you, Dr. Stocks. Dr. Trone, Tiffany? You're muted, Dr. Trone. You're still muted. I can't hear you.
John, there's no microphone.
We can't hear you.
Dr. Trone. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I concur with Dr. Stock. We are seeing a reduction in our admissions, and our patients are not as sick as they used to be back in April. Currently, we have more tools to treat them. We have remdesivir, we have dexamethasone, we have convalescent transfusions, and a few other adjuncts. And so I think as a community, we're doing better. If I recall, in April, for example, this year, April 15th, we had 15 ICU patients. We haven't had that kind of ICU cases of COVID. I think the most we've had so far is 7 or 8. We are seeing more patients at Palmdale for some reason, and but not a lot more. But Palmdale is seeing a little bit more. So that's all I have.
Tiffany?
So I have some news. First, in response to Daryl's comments, I just wanted to remind everybody that I am still working very closely with a lot of the places of worship. If there's a place of worship that is having a hard time understanding any of the protocols or guidelines, please reach out. Let me know. I'm happy to go through them with you and try to help give some clarity there. Or if there's anything that you need, let us know. Also, with respect to the testing program, the tests have arrived, and it looks like we're going to be able to go live with that at the Antelope Valley Hospital location on Monday. So that's really encouraging. We'll be able to start testing more people, hopefully reduce the spread even further and get people back to work who've been out of work due to quarantine and isolations.
Thank you. Has public health ever contacted you to do contact tracing?
They contacted me on day 11 after my results came in, but it was an 800 number, so I didn't answer. I called them back on day 13, and then they finally called me back on day 14, and I did my interview.
And did they contact anybody? Well, I guess it's too late then anyway, wasn't it?
They called my husband.
They called your husband. Anyone else?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know.
And did they rat you out to your husband?
I don't know, actually.
All right.
He said they were just very generic.
Do we have the volunteers to do the tracing, the contact tracing?
So we're looking at more. The county actually specified that the tracing has to happen on a county level. What we're looking at is, rather than doing a tracing protocol, so to speak, we are going to have a community follow-up where there will be community volunteers. I've spoken with a couple of them, and they're really eager and ready to help. And those individuals will be reaching out to anyone that tests positive, as well as anybody who's symptomatic, no matter, even if they test negative. Because as we know with this test specifically, if you're symptomatic and you have a negative test, it still doesn't rule out an infection. So they will need to have some follow-up care.
So, Jason, do you know the method to the county's madness here?
I don't know if there's a method. I think the one point of contact, I think, is the key for them, is having, you don't want to have 5 different people calling the same person. That's why when Tiffany mentions the phone in a different manner, I think we're going to have that. I would also note that I'm guessing that our testing facilities, since we are having the ability to test asymptomatic patients, we're going to have far fewer numbers to contact. So I'm not so concerned that we're going to have the numbers are going to be out of bounds. But I think the county's method of having one entity call all people is make sure they all get called. And the people we've talked to have been called that I know have been positive have been called as well now. Whether they were called day 2 or day 3, I don't know, but they were all made contact with.
All right, Tiffany, I want you to monitor that program. And if they continue to be waiting 2 weeks to call people, we will do the contact tracing, and they're just going to have to live with it. But I mean, give them another opportunity to see if they're doing it correctly. But the only way we keep these numbers down is to do the contact tracing. And who's ever not on mute, get on mute, please. The only way we're going to bring this under control is if we do the contact tracing and get people to isolate who've had contact with people. So, you know what I'm saying, right? Good. Folks, we cannot rely on the county. We just cannot. I mean, I'm not going to rail about it. I'm not going to rant about it. But we cannot point the finger at them either and say, well, we left it up to them and they failed. No, we will have failed. And I'm not accustomed to allowing people fail for me. I'll do my own failing. I don't want somebody I don't know doing it for me. I am incredibly proud of the medical community and how many people's lives they have saved and how well they got on top of this. I mean, how they're treating patients now is so much different than how they were treating them 3 months ago. But we're not going to have a vaccine until October. We will have one in October. I'm confident of that. But it's not going to be widely distributed until January or February. So this is going to be with us for a while, which brings me to Captain Weber. Captain, are we citing people for not wearing masks? And if we are not, why aren't we? And what is it going to take for that to be the way we do things in this city?
Yeah, we absolutely support you. And like all along, if we have issues with that, we try for compliance and that sort of thing first. But we can absolutely cite people for it. We have cited for a number of people for health code related stuff related to the health order. And I know that our Director of Patrol Unit Lieutenant has been speaking, and my ops have been speaking with Mr. DeRico, and they talked about some strategies, and we absolutely support you any way we can, Mayor Paris, including citing for masks.
Okay. Okay, that's good, because I want to clear, unless the council votes otherwise, I'm done talking to people. I'm done asking them to comply. They are not going to risk the lives of the families in this city any longer. They have to wear masks. If they are within the borders of Lancaster and they are near other people, I want them cited if they don't have the mask on. It's, you know, I guess there could be exceptional circumstances where they couldn't afford the mask or something like that, and we can give them the mask then. But if there's any indication at all that they're simply being non-compliant, it's time that they be held accountable for that. The evidence is overwhelming at this point that if everybody would wear masks, we wouldn't have people dying in the hospital. I mean, how stupid can it be not for people to understand that at this point in the game? And so I guess we could say that stupidity in Lancaster is now a crime, because that's their only excuse at this point, is that they're stupid. How's that for being, I mean, I'm not being a very good example for Sean, am I? That was a joke, folks. Okay. All right, good. Thank you, Captain. Just so long with everybody's on the same page. All right, let's go back to Heather. What are we doing with name-wise, Heather?
I actually had a question for the city clerk. Giovanni Pope is 17 years old. Is that a problem in putting him on the commission? Do they have to be 18 years of age?
I can see problems. I forgot about that. You're right. Giovanni, you're an alternate as of this moment on.
So it would be appropriate to nominate him as an alternate, Mayor Paris. And I'm checking the ordinance right now to see if it requires you to be eligible to vote, and I don't recall. So let me check that right now.
Right now he's an alternate. We'll deal with it later, obviously. I mean, I'm nominating him as an alternate. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, let's vote. Andrea?
City Council Member Doris?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chris?
Yes.
Mayor Paris?
Yes. Allison, what I'm concerned about is not whether or not he could vote, although that does raise an interesting issue. I think that is a problem. It raises other liability issues. You know, I haven't got waivers from his parents or anything like that. And so we're going to, I don't know why I didn't think about that, but I didn't.
And his motion passed unanimously, just to make the announcement.
Okay, good. All right, who else do we have?
The last one is then Zach Cullen. He's a local business owner and has been advocating for unity that I know of since the 90s.
Okay, is there a motion? I'm nominating him. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Let's vote.
City Council Member Doris?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chris?
Yes.
Mayor Paris?
Yes. It's unanimous. Who else do we have?
I believe that's
everyone.
That's everyone.
Okay, good.
Except for Mr. Cannon, whom you pushed off to next week.
So, okay, we have 6 commissioners now. We got 1 pushed off to next week. All right, we'll go forward. You know, I imagine Sean's listening, and I want to clear, you would not be the first person that has been removed because of their Facebook. We've had planning commissioners removed for that reason. I don't care if people's opinions are different, but I do care with how people represent the city. And but I think we're going to get there. It'll be okay. You good, Nigel?
I'm good, sir.
Okay. You're looking like you're really mad at me, are you?
No, that's just I don't have my glasses on, so it looks like I squint.
Okay. Great. Okay. All right. What do we have next? Any other council reports? What, Allison?
I think we did city council reports. I think we're up to city manager announcements.
Okay. City manager.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things real quick. Announcement we have posted, if you look at some of our social media posts, we posted about the senior outreach program. I know early on in the process we had talked about, and of course, Dr. Stock and Dr. Trong brought this idea to us about the folks that are in convalescent care, that they need outreach and connection. So we have had 40 virtual conversations with senior citizens that are in that situation. It's going very well. The group that is doing that is our impact volunteers, which we will be utilizing as well in the testing center and the testing process. So things are really moving there. And you see some of the pictures we posted online. It's very, very touching that you'll see obviously some of these seniors that are in positions of loneliness, as we talked about, getting conversations from our staff and connecting on a regular basis. So I think that's turned out very well. So kudos to that team and that group. Again, we're moving forward. Some of the projects moving forward, Avenue G, J, K, L, and M are still moving forward in the right fashion. J moving first. I think we're issuing, if we haven't issued this week, I'll be issuing the bid documents for the local street component of Avenue J. So you'll start seeing some of those improvements and a lot of road improvements that we're still focused on. LPAC is moving forward with a virtual offering, a murder mystery musical virtually. So as much as we believe we have challenges putting people in a big building all at the same time, we still think there's opportunities to get entertainment out there. So for everybody who hasn't participated in that, sign up and get involved. And I think that's going to be coming for streaming beginning August 5th, but I think it streams over a period of time. So, you can take part in that. We're also continuing with our reopening assistance. We've assisted 113 businesses so far. And getting that resource is still available to anybody who wants to help out. That's barricades for restaurants opening up. That's tents. That's outdoor patio furniture. Sanitation. All those things. We're engaged with them, trying to get them to reopen, and we're seeing some successes there. And then we just launched our emergency rental assistance program. So those folks need to sign up and get the opportunity to participate in that program. And that's up to $5,000 in rental assistance that pays directly to the landlord. So for those of you having difficulty making the rent, sign up for this. There's limited resources, of course. So I think there's going to be a lottery program that have sign up for that opportunity. And again, that does a couple of things. It extends the opportunities for those people who are having housing challenges, but also some of those landlords who are having problems, making their bills as well. But it's a challenge on both sides of the coin. So this is a benefit to the entire community. And then, of course, our ongoing events. Farmers Market is still open and operating, so please come out and share. The social distancing is required. The face mask is required. But it's also an opportunity to get out and socialize to a certain extent and get some fresh air and get some fresh fruits and vegetables. And of course, hot summer nights, Fridays and Saturdays from 5 to 9 on the boulevard. You're able to go out there, get your order to takeout. We close down the boulevard, a little bit of entertainment, and you go out and eat your meal there, socially distant with your family, just to get out and about. So we're continuing this effort. I think, Mayor, you wanted to report on some of the meetings you had as it relates to hydrogen projects and things of that nature that we're working on most recently. But with that, we're excited about what we're doing as a community. From a COVID perspective, we've had 5 positive employees. All have recovered, none hospitalized. We have not had any employee-to-employee contact, which is very important to see, is that we are following those masks rules. We are following the social distance rules. Of course, we can't guarantee that people aren't going to get this thing, but at least when they do come to work, we catch them early. We obviously remind them, stay at home if you're feeling sick. We do temperature checks on everybody, and then remove them from the workforce until they get better, and then bring them on back. So we've had a number of folks quarantined that are back to work. So it's been a process, but at the same time, we're doing it as safely as humanly possible. And that starts from leadership, and that starts from your guys' message. So thank you for that. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Couple things. One is the banners we have on Lancaster Boulevard. Unless the council objects, I would like us to start celebrating the heroes in this COVID-19 by putting their picture up and their name and what they do. We've got some incredibly heroic people that I think we should be celebrating. And so if we could move that program into recognizing them, I would appreciate that. Does that work for you, Jason?
It works for me. The banners we have up now are celebrating the graduates who just recently graduated. So I'm not sure the timeline that we pressed on them to have those up. We can definitely look at a program. We own our streetlights now, and we've evaluated what it looks like to put banners on our streetlights. So definitely, if there's things like around the hospital we might want to do and actually add a new program, we can do that in different locations, whether it's a nursing home, a medical facility, a Kaiser, something like that. We can kind of highlight those on those areas. Might be a way to do that.
Okay, thank you. And this is to the COVID-19 team. Could you guys figure out a way so that the women in the rest homes or assisted living homes or whatever the appropriate terminology is now for those facilities can get their damn hair done? I mean, it's a big deal to them. I can't tell you how distraught my mother is over the fact that she hasn't had her hair done in months. Could we figure out a protocol so that somebody can go in and do their hair once a week? I mean, that's such a small thing, but such a huge thing to their well-being. Could we put something together and then sell it to the different facilities? I mean, by sell it to them, use those badges I gave you. Okay.
Nigel needs a haircut.
What?
Yeah, because Nigel needs a haircut.
Cut it out. My haircut's great.
I think it's very doable. I think as long as it could probably be done outside, which probably shouldn't be a problem. So let's work on that.
Let's get that done by the next 10 days. I mean, it's a big deal to them. I can't tell you how significant it is to them. Okay, good. Thank you. Now, let me tell you what's happening with Japan. This is the most exciting thing that's happened since BYD. And I'm going to read it because it's really quite involved. And it's really going to, if the council approves, it'll be the direction that the city is going to take for the next decade. Many of you have heard about the new hydrogen cars that Toyota, Honda, and Hyundai are selling and leasing. And there's more to come. Toyota will unveil its second-generation Mira at the end of the year. BMW just announced its hydrogen SUV last week, and Audi is coming to the market. Today, California leads the nation in the number of hydrogen fueling stations and leads the world in the number of cars on the road. California has more than 8,000 fuel cell cars on the road, nearly 50 buses, and we're beginning to see fuel cell trucks appear. The state is committed to renewable and zero carbon hydrogen, and like electricity, has put hydrogen on that pathway. What you may not know is Lancaster is quickly becoming the center for companies involved in this new hydrogen economy. I recently met with the Consul General of Japan to discuss their commitment to convert to a hydrogen-powered society by 2030 and how we might be involved. This was really very significant because I was invited to his home in Los Angeles, and it was a private lunch. And in Japanese culture and in Japanese government, that is really a big deal because it is their intent to put an enormous investment into the city of Lancaster, and we'll have mirror cities with one in Japan. And they intend that the entire nation is going to be run on hydrogen in 10 years. So that'll give you an idea of the magnitude of this. It dwarfs whatever we have done with China, I suspect, is what the outcome will be. Lancaster already achieved its goal of becoming the first net zero city in the world last year. We produce more clean energy, mostly solar, than Lancaster consumes. Took us 9 years, and we did it thanks to the very pro-business policies and an excellent staff, including Jason and others who brought Lancaster Choice Energy to success. and we will always owe them a debt of gratitude for all their hard work on that. We are net zero. We're the first city in the world to do it. But more importantly, we're making money on it. You know, it didn't cost us anything. It actually made us more efficient. It made the doing business in Lancaster a more efficient place to come. That surprised me. I thought we were going to lose money on the deal, but we didn't. And so as the world is waking up more and more to the fact that our families are at risk if we don't do something, it is a great source of satisfaction that all of us should share, that we have led the world in how they should do this. And people are taking note, which is evident by Japan reaching out to us. I mean, that's how far our reach is, that Japan knew to come to Lancaster. And, you know, we shouldn't understate the impact of Japan on the California economy. They're the largest investor in California of any nation in the world. They dwarf everyone else. And so for them to be focusing on Lancaster is really huge, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've asked Lex Heslin, who is doing one of the renewable projects with us out at Waste Management, to oversee a lot of this and coordinate with the Japanese on this, because he's done so much work with them. And they're essentially, it would be the Secretary of Energy for Japan. I actually met him years ago in Abu Dhabi with Lex, and it was Lex that made the introduction. Our next goal is to step further and integrate other green fuel sources, including hydrogen, into our green energy portfolio. Hydrogen is like natural gas without the CO2, no fracking, no greenhouse gas. It can be made renewable in a number of ways from a variety of sources: water, food waste, sewage, agricultural waste, electrolysis, which uses electricity to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen produced via electrolysis can result in zero greenhouse gas emissions. Depending on the source of the electricity used, we have lots of renewable energy in Lancaster. Our pipelines, which today move fossil fuels like oil and natural gas, will one day be transporting hydrogen for transportation in cars, trucks, buses, ships, aviation fuel for heating and cooling, power generation, and other things you currently use natural gas for. You know, until these hydrogen projects came online, I didn't think there was really any hope for my grandkids and most of your children because of the climate extinction trends. For the first time, I think we can get a handle on this, and we are going to survive this and thrive because of it. It's incredibly exciting to me that Lancaster is going to be the pinnacle of that for the nation. Like our goal to go net zero, we're getting way out in front on a change which many see as inevitable. We just can't keep burning fossil fuels. Even electric cars have a big footprint because of the large batteries. In less than a year, we have 3 companies that have chosen Lancaster as the site for hydrogen production plants. One uses superheating from the sun, another gasifies waste paper into hydrogen. The newest one will build a plant at the landfill which converts food waste and green waste into organic compost and green hydrogen. Japan is just one of the countries looking to bring companies to invest in Lancaster. I think the 3 companies we've got could turn into 13, maybe even 30 as hydrogen matures and interesting high-tech companies continue to choose Lancaster, the place they call home. I encourage all of you to learn more about hydrogen and to join me as Lancaster embarks on a brave new pathway to save the species. We will provide numerous educational resource opportunities for you to become involved. We hope other cities will follow in our footsteps. You can expect to certainly hear more from me as Lancaster assumes a leadership role in the transition to clean green hydrogen going forward. We are starting a sister city program for sister smart cities that we are electing to use hydrogen for the storage of energy. It's the most efficient storage source there is. We can utilize the pipelines we already have. It is just nothing but wins. But we're going to have to work with the college and with the young people of this community. We also need to have the smartest people on the planet in regards to how hydrogen is used. And if we do that, there is no end to the amount of success we could bring to the city of Lancaster and the Antelope Valley in general. Of all the things that we've done, this clearly is the most exciting in regards to the positive impact it's going to have on everybody. And I look forward to it. I hope you'll join me in welcoming the Japanese to this program. The reason the Japanese are so critical to this program is because they have all the patents for the fuel cells, the hydrogen fuel cells. Toyota has led the field. Hitachi has incredible research that has finally come to fruition. In what the general counsel did, he was signaling to those companies in Japan that this is where they need to come. That's why that lunch was so important. I mean, what the two of us actually accomplished would probably not be that much, but it was there for the purpose of signaling those companies that they can find a home here in Lancaster that's going to be very welcoming and very encouraging. It's amazing that in the midst of this COVID crisis, something this remarkably good is coming our way. I mean, it because of the COVID-19, it puts a shadow over this wonderful thing that is happening. So that is my first report on as we move over to hydrogen. There are some worries that I would like the council to be aware of and start talking to our representatives. Edison does not like this program because we can literally start building projects off the grid. If we power them with fuel cells, there's no reason to be on the grid. And we can power those projects much cheaper than the way they're currently being powered. They're resisting this, and they're attempting to pass legislation to prevent us from being able to do this. To me, that is absolute insanity. I mean, there is no rational person out there today that doesn't recognize by now the threats that are facing us as a world and as the human race, and to allow people who still want to sell candles. The candle makers had a problem with electricity. And that's what we're experiencing now with the people who make electricity, is they want to hold this back. They can't. And we need all of the representatives representing Lancaster to help in making certain that that doesn't happen, and hopefully passing legislation that even makes it more inviting for them to come to Lancaster and do this. You will remember that 10 years ago, we were talking about we will be the research and development city for the planet on renewable energy. That has come to pass. We can't let antiquated thinking slow us down in any way. And so we should be devoting some of our energies in that direction. Is there any questions? So I just give you guys the most exciting thing that I've ever done in my entire life, and not one of you have a question. I'm hurt.
What is the water consumption for the equivalent of a kilowatt?
So, Marvin, do you really think that we needed another smartass on this?
And that's why I didn't ask the question.
Yeah. Just if I can jump in there, two of the products don't require water. The one is the anaerobic digestion. It'll take it out of the actually organic waste where the water is generated. The other is a solar hydration. So there's a certain amount of water that's used, but it can use recycled water to do that. And the other is medical, or it's waste. It's a vaporization of the waste. And that vapor then turns into, I'm way over my league here, but that vapor then turns into the hydrogen. So it's not a water intensive process. They can be, but they're not necessarily water intensive.
That was going to be my question, since we already have, the water, I don't want to call it issues, but concerns in Antelope Valley. I was just going to ask with what we're, face up here, would that be an issue with making it such a main source?
And that's what I was going to say, but Jason beat me to the punch.
That would be good for our developers, correct? Since water is such a main issue also, would that help our development also with housing? And
I don't think it'll reduce the water for the housing. I mean, that we've already reduced substantially. It's down to a third of what it was 10 years ago. What it does do, it does increase the cost of the house initially, but it drops to the price dramatically of home ownership, to the actual consumer of the house. He pays much less.
Yeah. And if I can add, Rex, there's some of these things that we don't know what's going to happen or what can happen, just like we did when energy 10 years ago. We didn't know what we could gain from that opportunity, but being the leader in that, we found out, and it was successful. Same thing here. There's so much more that we don't even understand yet that holds opportunities for us long term, which I think is really cool.
It's just nothing but good that I can see. But it is different, and it is change, and there are risks that we have to be cognizant of. But as I always tell the lawyers I train, it is under those rocks of fear you find the gold. And so far, that has been true for us in Lancaster as well. Okay, thank you. That's all I have to report. I do want to do a appropriate recognition for that deputy who performed CPR on Isabel's brother. I just thought that took incredible courage. All of those first responders that are, they're just operating without any regard to their own personal safety. And what better definition of a hero is there? Okay, Andrea, you want to do your shtick?
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on non-agendized items, please press *9. I will announce the last four of your call-in number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. State law prohibits council from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Please press *9 at this time if you would like to speak on non-agendized items.
Andrea, I'm sorry, let's hold off. I forgot something. I need to take some people to task. I'm very disappointed with the school boards. And the reason I'm disappointed is because we're in desperate need of childcare during the remainder of this program. I mean, the COVID-19 recovery. And I think the schools have let us down. You have all of these facilities that are closed that could be used for childcare with the appropriate social distancing so that people can return to some semblance of their lives. The other thing I'm concerned about is the most critical period of time is for when children are 4 years old. There is no reason in the world we couldn't have an extensive program for 4-year-olds that are keeping them socially distant. I mean, if we know for a fact that this age group, it's critically important that they be involved in an educational process. I'm just shocked by the willingness of so many to just step back and say, oh, well, whatever the governor says. The governor's not saying enough to protect our community. We have to do it ourselves. We have to be more aggressive in doing it ourselves. And if any of you know people on these school boards, tell them that we need their help and we need them to be aggressive and proactive and recognize that they don't get to go home and have a vacation during COVID-19. This is when they should be working the hardest. This is when they should be the most creative. And it would behoove them to do so. Because this is the nicest I'm going to get about it. And I think that the council will concur with that. We all have a duty to protect this community. And just because the governor says you don't get to reopen doesn't mean you get to go home. You have to figure this out. And we have to focus on the 4-year-olds first. And then we have to focus on having a child care program that allows people to work. And does anybody have any comments, or am I not seeing this the way I should be seeing it?
We're not agendized for action, so we can't reach a consensus.
I just want to know what their thoughts are.
I understand we're not agendized, though, so under the Brown Act, we can't take up the item, but we can certainly put it on the next agenda.
Damn, she's diplomatic, isn't she? See how she worked me?
She's doing her job.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully we won't have to put it on the next agenda. Hopefully Jason's going to call me up on Friday and tell me all the great programs that the schools are now initiating. Hopefully that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Can I just say amen, Allison? Can I just say that? Amen? Amen. All right.
I can give a quick update. We are researching right now a daycare program that the city can operate and run, following all the social distance protocols. But based on the utilization of our facilities, there's about space for 400 or 500. So we're working that as we speak.
Okay. Thank you.
And I know we can't talk about agendized items, but I have ran into parents that are now doing this distance learning, and they are lacking. The schools are telling the parents that they want them to produce a school-like atmosphere, wake them up, get them dressed. And there are parents that have called our ministries asking for desks, for cheers, for things that can resemble a school so that the kid can actually feel like they're in school. So I know this isn't something that we can talk about now, but I would like for us to see if there's something that we could do for parents or help with,
And we have to. I mean, it's crazy that some kids have the. I mean, I had all my grandkids this week, and they all, every one of them has their own little iPad, and they're doing their classes on the iPad, and they're having a great time doing it, and they seem to be learning. But what about the kids who don't have those iPads
or don't still have access to Wi-Fi? Or just access to Wi-Fi still.
And we've asked the county to give us our share of the CARES money so that we can give Wi-Fi to everybody in this city. And I don't know if they've made the decision yet, but if anybody has any influence with the Board of Supervisors, now's the time to exercise it. Because we're going to leave a whole generation behind us and unable to catch up to the rest of their peers because of this epidemic if we don't act faster and if we don't act more efficiently. We need that money to put that Wi-Fi in the neighborhoods. We could have it up and running in 90 days. So start sending emails, would you?
Video. Okay.
Andrea, let's go ahead and finish with the public comment.
Okay. Caller with the last 4 7232. Please state your name. Caller with the last 4 7232.
Fran Sarasaris, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, because I couldn't get through from before. I guess I'm diligent to do my job. Mayor Paris, Vice Mayor Chris, and Council. First of all, I want to congratulate Vice Mayor Chris on his getting his name on the roundabout on 15th Street West. I congratulate you, and I know for a fact you do deserve it.
Thank you, friend.
I've seen your work. Thank you very much. But the next thing I wanted to bring up real quick is the last meeting on the ordinance 1075. I was kind of left out in the left field there, Mayor, because you know I'm an advocate for Lancaster, the city of Lancaster, and you brought up the senior center, and as you know, I'm also an advocate for seniors and for all peoples. And what I wanted, and you brought up the senior center, the expansion. But what I really wanted to bring up to say is the project, which I did have something to do with, the group are diverse senior population, which means they're not just one particular race or creed. It's all people, and the population ranges from 50 years old all the way to 92, and there are a couple of older ones. And I just was kind of left out, and I wasn't too sure how to be able to express this to you, because you know I love you, and I love this city very, very much, and I'll do anything for the city. But I just wanted to bring this up. I hope I'm not stepping on, I hope I'm still going to be on your good side, and if I'm not, I'm sorry, but let me know what I can do to fix it. I thank you very much. God bless you all. And thank you for letting me speak.
If there's anyone else that would like to speak on non-agendized items, please press star 9.
Thank you, Fran.
There are not any other speakers, Mayor.
You're muted.
You know, by the time we get the vaccine, I'll figure this out.
Russia say they have it already.
Yeah. They do, don't they?
What they say.
Okay. All right.
Dr. Stock, you don't agree?
I don't know. I need to see the data, but if the treatment's vodka, I don't think it's going to work.
Okay, the next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 8, 2020 at 5 p.m. Thank you all for your patience and your participation. And since I'm already home, I don't have to warn Carol that I'm coming, do I? Okay. Love you guys. Have a great week.
Love you. Thanks, Rex.
Bye-bye.
Good night.